Good morning, Woody. 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 వంకని ఆమె తాగేసేయే క్లాస్ అయ్యాక ఎత్తుకుంటాను బుద్ధి So why these zeros are coming in third row, third column?
Two by three.
So when you give a 2 by 3 matrix, it must Yeah, this is a change you need to do. You need to change the number of rows into columns, right? Actually, before transposing, number of rows is m, number of columns is n. So you must modify it to n as rows and m as columns. Then use this logic: trans of ij is equal to first of ji. Then when printing also, you have to do this same logic.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So we'll start inheritance concept. So as I told you earlier, first we'll deal with inheritance and then packages, and after that access specifiers. Then you'll understand the access specifiers concept and packages also very well. First, as I told you earlier, what is inheritance? Property by which one class acquires members of another class is called inheritance. So what is the meaning of it? One class acquiring the members of another class. Sometimes people interchangeably use acquires properties, or you can also say features. So when you say properties or features, what do you mean by features? Means members of a class. Members of a class means all the instance variables and methods. Both together we call them as members, right? So this is a definition for inheritance. So in the concept of this inheritance, class which acquires members is called subclass. Okay, class from which members are acquired is called superclass. Okay. So the class, from whichever class you are acquiring these members, that class is called as superclass or the parent class. The superclass can also be called as parent class. But we don't use this parent class term in Java. We must use only the superclass and subclass concept. So there is no concept of child class and superclass, parent class used in Java. So people only use the term subclass for child class and superclass for parent class. So from parent class or the superclass, the child class or subclass will acquire the members. So in this process, the subclass, you must note one point here. A subclass, even though it is acquiring members, it doesn't mean that the subclass will have only the members of superclass. The subclass can also have its own exclusive members. So that I will mention here in note. Apart from superclass members, class can have its own exclusive members. So this point must be noted. So now, how to implement this inheritance? Now that you understand what is inheritance, how to implement inheritance in Java program. So for that, what the syntax is? Say this is a superclass. Like this, let us assume this is a superclass. So we'll create the superclass normally as usual as we create normal classes, and this is a subclass. When you're creating a subclass, after giving the name of the class, you have to use the keyword extends, specify to which class this class is a subclass or the child class. So after extends keyword, you need to mention the superclass name. Okay. So first you will define the class as usual, class subclass. After that, use the keyword extends and give the space and mention the superclass name. Okay. And this can have its own exclusive members. Subclass can now subclass will automatically have this type v1 variable, v2 variable, so on, and method 1, method 2, so on. All these members will also become members of subclass. And apart from these members, this subclass can also have its own members. So let me show you with an example program so that you'll understand. I'm giving the name of the class itself as superclass. So for simplicity, I'm declaring two instance variables. This is a superclass. Now I'm creating subclass. Automatically now, before I give the complete definition for the subclass, these instance variables a, b, and the methods read and display will also become members of subclass. Okay. So now here I'll read an extra C variable, C instance variable I'll declare, and then I'll create a method read C. Okay, so superclass and subclass are created. So now I'll create a class called simple. And this I'll define the in method. So here we are supposed to create an object for any of those classes. So now say for example, we have a superclass and subclass, right? So if I create only an object for subclass, what will happen? If I create an object for only superclass, what will happen? So let us see what will happen. We save it first, simple.java. Creating another subfolder and that folder and saving the simple.java. So first I'll create object for class. What are the methods available in superclass? Read and display. I'll call read method. Remove this 10, 20 values as there because we are creating a read method. We will pass the same 10, 20 here. And then this one dot display. So here this program will work normally. So let me compile it. because we created another folder in Java. Right? So we need to go to that folder first. Now, compile. Mm, A value, B value is printed. Why? Because only ABC values, AB values are printed, because we are creating object for superclass. So superclass will have only these two instance variables and these two methods. So when you create an object for superclass and call the read method and display method, they will be displaying only this one, right? Now let me create a object for subclass and use this object of subclass S2 and call read method. So for this read, how many parameters I have to pass? One parameter. And to display, no parameters. The method name is actually read C and method name is display C, right? Okay. So A value and B value are displayed using object S1. C value is displayed using object S2. So even though we have implemented inheritance here, we didn't actually get the fruits of that inheritance that we have used. So we have created object for both superclass as well as subclass, right? So instead of creating object for both superclass as well as subclass, I'll create only object for subclass. Then I must be able to access all the members of both superclass as well as subclass. So to do that, what we need to do, we need to make some modification to the program. Instead of passing only one parameter to the read C method in the subclass, I'll pass three parameters. Okay, and then I'll use A is equal to X here, B is equal to Y here. Then in system.out.println, I'll use this. So after making the change, let me compile the program again. Stu.read C. Calling the method, we are not passing all the parameters. So let me pass 30, 40, 50 like this. So when you call with object of a superclass, it is displaying only A and B values 10, 20. But when you call with object of subclass, all the three variables A, B, C are displayed, right? So now, what is the meaning of this? So you must understand that subclass will automatically inherit all the members of superclass. So now, apart from C, which is exclusive to subclass, this also has A, B also because it is inheriting them from superclass. So what are the instance variables of superclass A, B? So that A, B also will become members of subclass along with C. Similarly, superclass has two methods, read and display method. So they also will become members of this subclass along with read C and display C. So altogether subclass will have how many methods? Four methods: read, read C, display, display C. And how many instance variables will be there in subclass? A, B and C. Three instance variables and four methods will become members of subclass. But when we are defining the class, we are able to see only one instance variable and two methods, read C and display C. But automatically, because we have written this keyword, we have used this here, extends superclass. So automatically these also will become members of subclass, right? So that is how you inherit the members of superclass to subclass, right? Now using this object of subclass, you can call readC method, display C method, as well as you can also call read method and display method also. So if you want to make some modification to this program, so instead of passing three parameters here, I'll use this only. I use only one parameter. I'll remove this AB values, and displaying also I'll display only C. Right? But using S2, I'll also call S2 dot read pass 10 comma 20 to this. For read C, I'll pass only 30, one parameter. We'll call both the methods display and display C using same object S2. I'll put this in comment to the object for superclass. So now we don't have object for superclass. We only have object for subclass. Okay. These are put in comment. So these statements will be ignored. So now we have only object for subclass, that is S2. And using the same object S2 of subclass, I'm calling the read method of superclass and read method of subclass as well, and display method of superclass and display C method of subclass. All the four methods I'm calling read, read C, display, display C. Right? Why? Because subclass has inherited all the members of superclass. Now see, A is equal to 10, B is equal to 20, and C is equal to 30. All the three variables are their values are displayed. Who is displaying them? AB value is being displayed by display method, whereas C value is being displayed by display C method. So you can see display C is displaying only C value, and display method in superclass is displaying both A and B values, right? So this is how you have to implement inheritance in Java. So did you understand? So a lot of disturbance is there from your end. Try to reduce any volumes or anything if any TV is on.
Okay, sir. Hello? Hello?
Disturbance ఉంది. You are audible but background noise ఎక్కువ ఉంది, disturbance. హలో
సార్ ఇప్పుడు క్లారిటీ ఉందా సార్? హలో.
వాయిస్ క్లారిటీ ఉంది. బ్యాక్గ్రౌండ్ లో ఆ నాయిస్ డిస్టర్బింగ్ గా ఉంది.
సార్ ఇయర్ పీస్ కొంచెం కనిపించట్లేదు, అందుకే డిస్టర్బెన్స్ ఉంది సార్.
ఓకే, సో డౌట్, ఎనీ డౌట్?
నో సార్, టిల్ నో దెర్ ఇస్ నో డౌట్.
Fine. So if you don't have any doubt, let us go further ahead and discuss about some more issues related to inheritance. Right? Now that you understood what is object-oriented programming language, and let me also tell you about different types of inheritance. People will classify inheritance into different types, but actually that is not an ideal process. But anyhow, let me tell you, because somewhere some people will ask you, if you have learned Java, tell me about different types of inheritance. Or they'll also say forms of inheritance. Forms of inheritance. In which forms you can implement this inheritance, right? So they'll either ask you about types of inheritance or forms of inheritance. So let me put that forms of inheritance also in brackets. So there are many object-oriented programming languages other than Java. You also have Python and C++ also, which was introduced before Java. So we know that Java is a object-oriented programming language, and it took its syntax and features, combining both C and C++ together, and eliminating some of the topics from both C and C++, and adding some additional features which are not there in C and C++. So that is how Java was designed. So why they did so is they want all the strong features that are there in C as well as in C++. They don't want to lose those features. And there are some features which have more disadvantages, like pointers in C language, and there are templates in C++. So they have excluded templates from C++ and pointers from C, and they have taken the object-oriented programming design concept from C++, and then have designed this Java programming language. Okay, whereas that is a major difference when coming to the topics that are included from C and C++, and coming to whether the program is compiled and interpreted, that nature. Java is both compiled and interpreted. So we know all these features, right? So now this inheritance concept, as I told you, which is not there in C, but it is there in C++. So in C++, we have different types of inheritance. First one is single inheritance. Second one is hierarchical inheritance. Then you have multiple inheritance. Then you have multi-level inheritance. And then you have hybrid inheritance. So these five inheritances types are nothing but classifications or forms of inheritance or types of inheritance, whatever you call, that are available in C++. Coming to Java, uh, this multiple inheritance is not supported by Java. Okay? It does not support multiple inheritance, but this can be implemented using interfaces. So instead, uses interfaces. So interfaces is a new concept that you're going to learn later after completing packages and what is the other one, public access specifiers. So after a week or 10 days, we are going to see within a week or 10 days, we are going to see concept of interfaces also, right? So don't worry. For now, let us put that interfaces concept aside. We are discussing now only about inheritance. So Java does not support multiple inheritance, but it will support the remaining four: single inheritance, hierarchical inheritance, multi-level, and hybrid inheritance. So it all puts all these inheritances, four types of inheritances are nothing but the way in which you subclass, you create subclasses and superclasses. So if there is only one superclass and one subclass, then we call it as single inheritance. What is the meaning of single inheritance? There will be only one superclass and one subclass. So there will not be multiple superclasses and multiple subclasses. So in our example program that we have seen here, so this is superclass and it is only one in number. There are no more superclasses, right? And this is subclass and this is only one subclass. There are no more subclasses. So the example that we have seen now earlier is an example for what type of inheritance? Single inheritance. It can also be called a simple inheritance also. Let me put it here: single or simple inheritance. So in this form, we'll only have one superclass and one subclass. Okay. Coming to the next inheritance, hierarchical inheritance. So there will be only one superclass. Multiple subclasses will be there. Okay. So that means for this superclass that I created in our earlier program, there is only one subclass, right? So now if I make this as subclass 1 and create another subclass here, so I'll name it as subclass 2 and I'll extend this also with superclass. So now what do you mean by this one? The superclass has two subclasses. One is subclass 1, the other one is subclass 2. So this in this way, if one class has more than two subclasses, two or more subclasses, then we call it as hierarchical inheritance. So in hierarchical inheritance, what is the feature is there will be only one superclass, but for this one superclass there will be multiple subclasses. And when you say multiple subclasses, it can be 2 or 3 or 4, anything, but at least there must be 2. If there is only one subclass, then we call it as single or simple inheritance, right? So if there are 2 or more subclasses, then we call it as hierarchical inheritance. And superclass will be only one. Okay. And this multiple inheritance is nothing but there will be more than one superclass, but there will be only one subclass. So that feature is not supported here. But anyhow, let us not discuss about that one. And coming to multi-level inheritance, this, as the name indicates, multiple levels. So just like in a building or an apartment, there will be multiple floors: ground floor, first floor, second floor, like this. So at the top, you'll have one floor, right? The top floor is like a parent class, and then in the next level, below that top floor, say there are 5 floors in an apartment building. So the fifth floor is like a super class, and then below that you have fourth floor, right? So fourth floor is a subclass for fifth floor, like like then for again under fourth floor you'll have third floor, and again under third floor you'll have second floor, and under second floor you'll have first floor. So in that way, if you have multiple levels, at the top you have one super class, and for that super class you have another subclass, and again if that subclass has another subclass, and that subclass has another subclass, like that you can extend it to any levels. So such concept of inheritance is called as multi-level inheritance. So here there will be more than one superclass and more than one subclass. right? There will be more than one superclass and one subclass. And apart from that, uh, a subclass is a superclass for another class. Right? So that means what? A class which is a subclass for the superclass may be a superclass for another class. Right? It is just like fifth floor is superclass for fourth floor, and fourth in turn is superclass for third floor, like that. So if you take human beings, for example, your grandfather is a father for your father, and again your father is a father for you, right? So your grandfather is a parent of your father, and your father is a parent of you. So in that way, if you have multiple levels like that, then we call it as multi-level inheritance, right? So when you take your grandfather and father, your father is a child for uh, your grandfather, and coming to when you choose when you take your father and you, though your father is a child of your grandfather, he is also a parent of you, right? So in that way, one class can be both subclass as well as superclass. It will be a subclass for its parent class, and it will be a superclass for its child class. In that way, you will have multi-level inheritance. Then coming to hybrid inheritance. So this is a combination of any of the other inheritances. That means what? You can have a single inheritance and multi-level inheritance combined together, or you can have hierarchical inheritance combined with multi-level inheritance. That way, if you combine any of the other three forms of inheritance together and create a another form of inheritance, that will become a hybrid inheritance. In this case, you cannot say whether uh, there is only one superclass and one subclass, or more than one subclass. So it may have mixed features, right? Mixed features of both single inheritance. It depends on which two forms of inheritances you are combining, whether you are combining single and multi-level, or hierarchical and multi-level, or single and hierarchical inheritance. So depending on the combination that you are choosing, the number of superclasses and subclasses will vary in hybrid inheritance, right? So we have already implemented simple or single inheritance. We can implement hierarchical inheritance and multi-level inheritance also, and then hybrid inheritance. So let me show you one program. I already have programs for this. I'll take those programs instead of typing them again because it is taking some time. It's taking time to search for this program. Let me write it now. Let me modify this program only. Create a new program. This is subclass S1. So I'm creating class S1 S1 object. For subclass 2, I'll create subclass S2 object. Subclass 2 extends superclass. Subclass 1 extends. Now in superclass we have two instance variables AB and two methods read and display. Coming to subclass 1, it is extending superclass, so it will have AB along with C, and it will also have read and display along with read C and display C. Right. And coming to subclass 2, because this is also extending superclass, so it will have D along with AB, right? And it will have read D and display D methods along with read and display methods. So now what I'm doing is I'm creating object S1 for subclass 1. So now using S1, I can access uh, methods of A, that is superclass, that is read and display, as well as methods of subclass 1, that is nothing but read C and display C. But I cannot access read D and display D because subclass 2 is different. It doesn't have any relationship with subclass 1, right? But this subclass 2 has relationship with superclass, so that's the reason why in superclass whatever methods and variables are there, that is A and B and read and display method, they'll become members of subclass 2. They'll also become members of subclass 2. So what do you understand from this? The members of superclass are inherited both to subclass 1 as well as subclass 2 also. So instance variables AB, read and display methods will be members of both subclass 1 as well as subclass 2. But apart from these members that are acquired from the parents, that is like, so now subclass 1 and subclass 2 are like siblings. Parent has two children, so both of the two children will be siblings, right? So similarly, subclass 1 and subclass 2 are siblings. So for both of them, the parent is same, the superclass, right? So both of them will inherit the features of the parent, right? So in the same way, so both subclass 1 and subclass 2 will inherit the members of superclass, that is A, B, and read and display methods. Okay. Now, when you create object for subclass, we are not creating object for superclass, right? Remember, it means we are creating only members of subclass. Object for subclass. So you can, because these members are also part of subclass, that's why we are able to access the members of superclass also from subclass. But if you create a separate object for superclass, so that will act different. It will have only access to only these members, A, B, read and display methods. It will not have access to subclass 1 members, exclusive members like C, read C and display C methods. Similarly, subclass 2 members D, read D and display D methods. Okay. So parent class will have access only to its members, not have access to exclusive members of subclasses. Right? What are the exclusive members of subclass? If it is in subclass 2, it has exclusive member D and exclusive methods AD and display D. Coming to subclass 1, exclusive members are instance variables C and methods read C and display C. Right? So these members will not have any access. So we are not creating any superclass object here. We are creating only object for subclass. Because create an object for subclass, you can access both subclass members as well as superclass. But if you create an object for superclass, you can access only the members of superclass, not access the members of subclass, right? So that is the reason why we are creating object for only superclasses. But when you create an object for subclass 1, you will not be able to access members of subclass 2. You can only access members of subclass 1 as well as parent class, that is superclass. Okay, so if you run this program, then this will display the same values because we are passing same 10, 20, 30, same 10, 20, 30. So let me change them to say some other one, 40, as, and before I create this objects, let me display using a system.out.println. Using plus one object. Right? So we are accessing read method, read C method, display C method, all use subclass one object is S1. And here later we are accessing subclass one for more query and mention plus one two object S2. Here plus one object S1. So we understand that class S1 given so first we are accessing A, B, C values using subclass object. Then you are accessing A, B, C values using subclass 2 object. Would you like to say something, Yashwant? From tomorrow, you keep your earphones near to you because without earphones, your voice is not audible properly.
Hello, hello, sir.
Hello,
Ha, sir.
hello,
Hello, is it audible, sir?
Cheppu.
Ha, sir. రేపటి హలో
హలో చెప్పు
రేపటి నుంచి ఇయర్ ఫోన్స్ దగ్గర ఉంటాయి సార్. ఈ రోజు కొంచెము ఈ క్లాసెస్ కొంచెం డౌట్ ఉన్నాయి, హైరార్కల్ క్లాసెస్. కొన్ని ప్రోగ్రామ్స్ సజెస్ట్ చేస్తే దాని మీద ప్రాక్టీస్ చేస్తాను. హలో,
yeah, you can you try to write your program on your own like this. I'll give you a concept. So based on that concept, you can write it. I'll tell you. Wait.
ఓకే సార్.
You can you try to write your program on. See, Yashwant, you can write a program like you can take any concept, the common features of any say for example, you take vehicles,
Okay.
right? You take vehicles can be three-wheelers or two-wheelers or four-wheelers, right? Or you can say consider only two-wheelers and four-wheelers. So you can create a class called vehicle, and what are common to vehicles? Common features are like every vehicle will have, whether it is irrespective of whether it is two-wheeler or four-wheeler, it will have an accelerator, it will have a clutch, it will have brakes, all these features, right? It will have an engine and all these things. But what are exclusive to two-wheelers and what are exclusive to four-wheelers? So that features, instead of defining them in super, you can create a superclass like vehicle, okay? And in vehicle, you can add all the features like mileage. Both two-wheeler will have, four-wheeler also will have mileage of the vehicles, right? Mileage will be there, and you will have engine capacity. For two-wheeler, you will have engine capacity like 100 cc, 150 cc, 200 cc. And coming to four-wheelers, you will have engine capacity as 800 cc, 1000 cc, 1200 cc, 1500 cc. Like this, you'll have more engine capacity, cc capacity, right? So in that way, you can create a superclass called vehicle and create variables, instance variables like engine capacity and mileage, and then you can just create these two variables and create subclasses. Uh, one subclass is two-wheeler and the other class is four-wheeler. So under two-wheeler class, you can use different variables which are features which are exclusive to two-wheelers, and features which are exclusive to four-wheelers, you can put them in uh, four-wheeler class, and then create some methods to display the information related to two-wheelers as well as four-wheelers. Write a program in such a way.
ఓకే సార్. కానీ టర్మ్స్‌ని డిఫైన్ ఎలా చేయాలి సార్? అది కొంచెం అర్థం అంటే మీరు చెప్పింది అర్థమైంది సార్ లాజిక్. కానీ టర్మ్స్‌ని డిఫైన్ చేయమన్నారు కదా!
Yeah, you choose the features whatever you want to use. I'm not going to give anything because I don't know much about those terms at all. Okay. Two-wheelers I know, but four-wheeler, see for example, now seating capacity ఉంటుంది, for example, right? Seating capacity will be for four-wheelers more, right? Four people at least can sit, including the driver, whereas two-wheeler only two people can sit, the driving person as well as the other one sitting behind, right? So these features you can change for two-wheeler and four-wheelers.
ఓకే సార్.
So you can define methods uh, in subclass. You can define methods like what you say, number of seating capacity and engine capacity as two methods, and the same methods can also be defined in another subclass, but the code will change. Seating capacity in two-wheeler will display output as like only two, and in four-wheeler class it will display as four, and engine capacity will display as 100 or 150 for two-wheeler, and for four-wheeler it will display as 800,000 depending on the type of the car, right? So you can use different way. Try to write it on your own. If you are unable to write, then we'll discuss in tomorrow's session,
ఓకే సార్.
right?
ఓకే సార్.
Thank you.